1881, the Arizona Territory lay silent beneath a sky burning red with sunset. The desert stretched endlessly, cracked earth and scattered sagebrush whispering in the wind. Near a dry arroyo, an Apache woman named Tala knelt alone, her body weak from hunger and grief. She had lost her family during a violent raid, her village scattered, her spirit nearly broken. For days she had wandered without food or water, guided only by fading hope. The sun had drained her strength and the cold desert nights stole what little warmth remained. That evening, unable to walk another step, she sank against a rock and closed her eyes, surrendering to what she believed would be her final breath. She did not hear the approaching hoofbeats at first. A lone cowboy named Wyatt Granger was riding back to his ranch after checking distant fences when he noticed something unusual along the arroyo. At first he thought it was a bundle of cloth caught in brush, but as he drew closer he realized it was a woman. Wyatt dismounted quickly, kneeling beside her. Her breathing was shallow, her skin pale beneath the desert dust. Without hesitation, he lifted her carefully onto his horse and rode hard toward his cabin, the last light of day fading behind him. Tala drifted in darkness, unaware of the movement, unaware that life still clung stubbornly to her. When she finally opened her eyes, she expected to see the endless desert sky. Instead, she saw wooden beams overhead and felt a soft blanket wrapped around her. She gasped, sitting up suddenly. The room was warm, lit by the glow of a stone hearth. The scent of stew and burning pine filled the air. For a moment, fear tightened her chest. She was in a stranger's home. "You're safe," a calm voice said from across the room. Wyatt stood near the fireplace, hands visible, posture careful and respectful. "Found you near the arroyo. You were barely breathing." Tala studied him, her eyes sharp despite exhaustion. He looked rugged, sunburned, and cautious, but there was no cruelty in his expression. She touched the blanket, realizing she lay in his bed, the only one in the small cabin. "Why?" she asked quietly. Wyatt hesitated. "Because no one deserves to die alone in the desert." Silence settled between them. Tala's pride urged her to leave immediately, but her body refused to obey. She tried to stand and nearly collapsed. Wyatt stepped forward instinctively but stopped short, giving her space. "You need rest," he said gently. "Food too." He handed her a bowl of warm stew and sat at the table while she ate slowly. Each bite returned strength to her limbs, though suspicion lingered in her gaze. She had seen settlers who carried prejudice like a weapon, yet this man had carried her to safety. Over the next days, Tala regained her strength. Wyatt offered her clean clothes and allowed her the cabin while he slept on a cot near the hearth. He asked few questions, respecting her silence. Gradually, Tala began helping with small tasks. She fetched water, swept the floor, and observed the routines of ranch life. Wyatt noticed her skill with horses and her knowledge of desert plants. She moved with quiet confidence, as though survival was woven into her bones. One evening, as they repaired a fence together, Wyatt finally asked, "Do you have somewhere to go?" Tala stared at the horizon. "My village is gone," she replied softly. "I do not know where my people are." Wyatt nodded, understanding loss in his own way. "You can stay here until you decide," he said simply. The offer carried no condition, no demand. It was freedom disguised as kindness. Tala studied him carefully, measuring his sincerity. She had closed her eyes expecting death. Instead, she had awakened in the bed of a man who asked nothing in return. Weeks passed, and the desert shifted from harsh summer to cooler autumn. Tala became an equal partner in ranch life. She showed Wyatt hidden springs and safer trails through the canyons. In return, he taught her about managing cattle and trading in town. Their conversations grew longer, no longer guarded. Tala spoke of her childhood, of songs sung under starlight, of traditions carried through generations. Wyatt listened with quiet respect, never interrupting, never dismissing her history. One night, sitting outside beneath a sky blazing with stars, Tala turned to him. "I thought the desert would take me," she admitted. "I closed my eyes and wished for peace." Wyatt looked at her steadily. "Maybe the desert wasn't finished with you," he said. "Maybe it just led you somewhere new." In his words, she heard neither possession nor pity, only possibility. By winter, Tala no longer felt like a guest. The cabin held shared laughter and the warmth of partnership. When traders passed through and questioned her presence, Wyatt answered firmly, making it clear she was there by choice and under his protection, not ownership. Tala realized that waking in a cowboy's bed had not been a loss of dignity, but a second chance at life. She had not been rescued as property, but as a person worthy of survival. Spring returned to the Arizona plains, bringing wildflowers to the desert floor. Tala stood beside Wyatt, overlooking the ranch they had shaped together. She had once surrendered to death. Now she faced the horizon with renewed strength and purpose. The Wild West was unforgiving, filled with danger and division. Yet in one small cabin near a dry arroyo, compassion had rewritten fate. An Apache woman who had closed her eyes to die instead awakened to warmth, respect, and the possibility of a new beginning. And a lone cowboy discovered that saving a life sometimes means gaining a partner strong enough to change his own.